Well, Mark Carney won. Or did he? Hmm, something is cooking, and I'm going to show you why and what could be coming up in the coming months for both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre. The story doesn't seem to be over quite yet. Stay tuned and find out. Okay, so the last video that I did, we looked at who had the best energy, astrological energy, to win the 2025 Canadian elections. And it turned out to be Pierre Poilievre, but he didn't win. All right. But, and here's a big but, there's a couple of things that I should have included in that forecast. And I didn't look forward a little bit further into the future to see how the energy was going to grow. And see, what happens is during the elections was like the planting of a seed. All right. And the energy of that seed is going to have positive energy or not so positive energy. Now, it turns out Pierre Poilievre was supposed to have the more positive energy to win, and Mark Carney was supposed to have the lesser energy. So he was going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage. But he won that night. Here's the thing of how energy works. Now, I have to also explain how the planets work. Okay. So planets, they don't give us anything good or bad per se. The planets just provide energy and the opportunity to make choices, okay, for ourselves. They bring opportunities. They activate certain areas of our lives in order for us to make choices so that we can, have life experiences. So there is free will, and in free will, we have the power to make choices for ourselves. The planets, for example, will bring us the stage, will bring us the energy and opportunities. Um, but it's up to us to use the energy in an appropriate way. So think of energy and free will is like kind of like baking a cake. We'll use that as an example. So the planets bring us the ingredients, all right? And so when some planetary transits bring us more ingredients or better ingredients, and other planetary transits give us not too many ingredients to work with, or sometimes not great ingredients to try and bake a cake. And so in this example, all right, you have Pierre Poilievre, the planets were giving him lots of really good ingredients and you know, lots of good quality ingredients and lots of them. And so what happened in his case with free will is choices. So he had to make some choices as to how he was going to mix those ingredients up to bake the cake. In Mark Carney, or in Pierre, no, sorry, Mark Carney's case, he was given, energetically speaking, less ingredients to bake a cake or lesser quality ingredients to bake a cake. So Mark Carney had to make sure that he mm, used those ingredients, which were lesser than Pierre Poilievre's, in order to make a better cake. In this case, Pierre Poilievre's case, um, maybe some choices that he made weren't as good as he could have made. And in Mark Carney's case, he made better choices with his ingredients, if that makes sense. So even though Pierre Poilievre had better ingredients to work with, he didn't mix them up properly, and the cake didn't come out very well. And in Mark Carney's case, the ingredients he had to work with, he actually used better. And so he actually did make a better cake. But here's the thing. In astrology, we have these things called retrogrades, where planets, through the planetary motions in our solar system, uh, it looks like planets sometimes they move backwards in the sky. That's a trick on the, it's a play on the eyes. They don't actually move backwards, but based on planetary orbit, some planets move faster, some slower, and sometimes they pass one planet and so from our perspective on Earth, it looks like they, you know, some planets look like they're going backwards. Anyways, when these planets go retrograde, as we call them, they reverse energy. The energy reverses, and it's almost like we get tested during those times, or we get to redo things, or retry things, or regroup, or try to undergo another opportunity to give it another go. And there are some retrogrades coming in Mark Carney's way in the fall of this year, 2025, that is going to bring some tests and challenges to him. And Pierre Poilievre, at the same time, there's going to be opportunities for growth and development when it comes to bringing a new contract in his career and his work. Now, that might only mean that you know he wins his riding and then he gets a seat back into Parliament. He gets back into the House of Commons type thing. Maybe that's all that means. But it's happening at the same time where Mark Carney is going to be facing some karma. Something is going to come back where he's going to have to defend himself about something that he did or didn't do. And so let's go through the astrology. I'm going to show you what this is coming up and what you know where this is all coming from. And so just give me 1 second. Okay, and bear with me just a minute. And I think this is online. All right, so what we're going to look at, actually, first we're going to look at Mark Carney. All right, and I'm going to show you here what is going on because the seed that was planted for the elections, April 28th of 2025, and this is what I talked about in my the last video, was a transit Saturn, which Saturn is a planet that brings challenges and difficulties and karma into one's life. And so what happens is it was going over his sun at the time. The sun is a part of our ego, sense of self, identity, and so that can definitely create some challenges when it comes to confidence and being seen in a positive light. But it can definitely bring these challenges. So this is where we said, okay, he was given some rough energy going in. I'm not going to talk about some of the other ones. I'm just going to focus on a couple of them with Saturn. And at the same time, I wanted to add, and I didn't do this in the original video, numerology into the mix. So we go through these number cycles. And so for Mark Carney, we're going to look at his yearly cycle in terms of number vibrations. So, okay, he was born March the 16th, and we add the current year, 2025. So this was a one cycle year for him, 2025. And so it's a good year for wins. And so when I did a video back for the American elections and with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, Donald Trump he was on a one cycle with positive um, astrological energy at the same time. You can look back at that video and see what happened or how I did that. So he had a double strong energy. He won in a big way. But in this case, Mark Carney had some difficult astrological energy, but positive numerological energy. So it's always great to start off a brand new uh, career, contract, or any endeavor on a one cycle. And so he was in a 1 year. So you're like, okay, So that's a mixed bag for Mark Carney. So you're like, okay, keep that in mind. Now let's go to, and as we talk about Pierre Poilievre in a bit here. And the thing with Mark Carney, now this is an astrological chart where we're okay, his inner wheel, this inner wheel is his birth chart. That doesn't change, that doesn't move, that stays static. This outer wheel are where we can move the planets backwards and forwards into the future or the past and see how the energy has been affecting people are affecting us. And in this case, okay, we're at April 28th, 2025. I'm going to move it forward month by month. And I want to show you something that caught my attention. You see, Saturn is moving forward. It's now past his sun. Okay, we're into June. We're into July. And then, Saturn will begin to go retrograde. You see these little R X's. These are planets going to start to move backwards in reverse. And we're into August, late August. And now Saturn is moving into what we call degrees, now critical degree points. Now, by the end of September and into October, Saturn returns back over his sun in a retrograde pattern. So that's where it's like, something is coming back to, I guess, something's coming back to hit him. And typically with Saturn, it has to do with responsibilities, decisions, contracts, and so and how he rules or governs. And so some reckoning is coming or something he's going to have to defend himself on in the fall of 2025, especially starting September, October. All right. And I would argue, and even into November. So yeah, September, October, November, something's up where he's going to have to confront those things. Now, let's look at now, and then Saturn also rules things like punishment and things like needing to confront anything that you may have done wrong. All right. And so let's come back to election April 28. Now let's look at Pierre Poilievre. All right. And the reason we gave him the positive energy at the time was because he's got Jupiter as a major player at that point in his fifth house. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, growth, luck, opportunity. And so it's a nice one to have when you're in a competition as an active point. And he just came out of a conjunction with his Mercury, um, conjunct Sun, and so that more than anything, like the Mercury has to do with his mind, his communication style, his ability to communicate. So that should have been an all-time high. And on the fifth house is the house of the sun in Leo. So it's the house of ego and pride and being seen, being heard, getting recognized. It's a great place for that to be active. So he had some good ingredients to work with, but maybe didn't make proper decisions. And so the cake didn't turn out like he wanted. But the positive energy was planted. That's the thing. So now let's fast forward. So now we know. Oh, the numerology, right. So let's look at his number cycle. So he was born June the 3rd, and we add the current year. I keep going to 2015. Okay, 2025. And so this year, 2025, is a 9 energy cycle for him in numerology. That's a year of endings. So 9 cycles are years of endings, reflection, healing, needing to let stuff go. It's yeah, not a great number for a win. So then you got the good energy astrologically for Pierre Poilievre, but not great numerologically. So both of them had mixed bag energy. So then you're like, okay, so what does that mean? So that one could have concluded that, oh, we won't conclude anything just yet because here's the thing. How energy works with numerology and astrology. Numerology works in tighter time scales. Their energy will last less than um, than an astrological time scale. So the time scales are longer for astrological transits than a numerology. All right. And so what we want, then we're like, okay, Carney had the stronger positive numerology, but that lasts less. And the longer scale astrological energy was harder for him. That means it starts off good, but gets harder for him with time. Whereas Pierre Poilievre, he started off with not a good energy, but it's supposed to get better for him with time scale. See what I mean? So, okay, now we know that Mark Carney's going to, astrology is going to come through some sort of a reckoning, um, some sort of a challenging point in the fall of 2025. Oh, and just as a side note, 2026 for Pierre Poilievre, he achieves a one. So that tells me something should be going very well if the positive seed long term was planted during the election and then he switches to a one. I don't know. Maybe he needed some sort of a humbling experience or something. Either way, and Mark Carney needs also a humbling experience of some kind. So I think both of their egos, because for Carney, his uh, both of them were actually active. Yeah. So Mark Carney's Saturn was over his sun, and the sun is our ego, right? And Pierre Poilievre, Jupiter was in the fifth house, which is the house of the sun and Leo. That's also ego. So both of their egos, hmm, this could be a lesson for both of their egos. And so that's interesting. All right, now, coming back to, we see how Mark Carney had sort of astrological reckoning coming in the fall. Let's see what's happening in the fall for Pierre Poilievre. Okay, so let's fast forward. So I'm focusing on this guy now. This is Jupiter, right? What's Jupiter doing? Okay, May, June. So we see in May, Jupiter moved out of that fifth house and it goes into the sixth house. Now, the sixth house is a house of healing. It's one of the houses of health, healing, and service, and reorganizing, regrouping, and fixing and repairing. So May, June, July, he's in healing mode, and needing to fix, repair, reorganize, and focusing on service. And then something happens in August. Jupiter goes into the seventh house. This is very significant. Late August and into September, we see Jupiter. Now, this is a very important critical point because as it goes into the seventh house, which is the house of relationships and partnerships and contracts, it's making what we call this opposition. It's opposite to this point. Now, that's called the ascendant. All right. And the ascendant or the rising sign is a very, very important point in a person's chart, maybe one of the most important points, because it talks about destiny and purpose, why we're here. So when the ascendant is activated, it triggers a destiny point. It's a major shift, change in destiny, opportunity in our destiny, or something about our destiny awakens. And especially with Jupiter, that's like something it's going to, whatever Jupiter interacts with, it Jupiter makes it large because Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. So anything it touches, it expands its energy. So it's going to expand something, and Jupiter typically brings something positive. Jupiter is called a benefic. It typically brings a lot of beneficial energy, luck, and opportunity. Again for expansion and growth. Anyways, so it will begin to grow or expand his destiny in some way, and that's going to carry through September, October. And at the same time, Carney is going through his reckoning. So it's like, hmm. So when Jupiter is going to work on expanding and growing his relationships and partnerships, maybe even giving some luck or opportunity to even a new contract. Now that could just mean he now gets into the House of Commons and he can now interact that way. Maybe that's all that means. We'll find out. But, or it means that he's going to get another shot. And the reason I say he's going to get another shot is because as Jupiter's going to go retrograde backwards for him in the area of relationships and partnerships and contracts. Remember, the retrogrades have to do with redo, regroup, retry. So maybe the universe is going to give him another opportunity to retry his relationship with Canada or his relationship with his career or the contract that he has with the people around him. And in this case, the people in the larger scale, the seventh house is about people relationships. So that could be literally the people of Canada. I don't know. It's a possibility, a strong possibility. Uh, at the same time, his nine cycle is ending and he's approaching his one number cycle. So Now, that still doesn't mean that he'll win or anything like that, or if there is a snap election or a non-confidence vote in the government or something might have, who knows? Um, so let's just say hypothetically that he gets another shot at winning or, running for prime or not running, he's already in the running, but if he wins another shot at winning the prime ministership, then that could mean again, he's still going to be faced. So astrology, the energies will still give him the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to use all of the ingredients properly, use all of his ingredients properly again, but then it's free will. We'll see if he's learned anything or if he's going to mix the ingredients in a better way again. And Mark Carney is also going to be given an opportunity to, bake another cake, in this case, defending himself in some way. And if he mixes those ingredients properly again, then he will come out on top again. So so whoever mixes the ingredients they're getting again. But the bottom line is they're both going to get the opportunity to use the ingredients that they're going to be given again. Something's happening in the fall. That's what I mean. Something's cooking. Something's cooking. So we're going to see where this goes. And again, maybe this just all means that Pierre Poilievre gets into Parliament, and he and Mark Carney just gets faced with more attacks or heavier attacks from Pierre Poilievre because now he's going to be sitting in Parliament. So maybe that's all that means, but something is going to happen in the fall that's going to be very interesting. So we'll see where this all goes. All right. All right. Well, there you have it. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're going to be given ingredients to work with, and they're going to have to make decisions again. And we'll see which ones are going to be making the better decisions with the ingredients that they're going to be given. So either way, it's going to be interesting. All right. So stay tuned for my next videos. I'm going to try to put one out once a week. We're going to be looking at the lunar phase cycles. Each lunar phase lasts around 1 week, and we're going to look at the energies affecting everything and everyone during that week. And we're going to be looking at the astrometeorology, and we're going to be looking at how the planets are going to be affecting the weather in North America. So that's it. Thank you for watching. And if you did like this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all very, very much. All right, guys, take care.